Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather and also the choco update. So we have these enhanced risks central to western Texas now on May 29th, Thursday, and these light risk spots of New Mexico into Texas. Also slight risk in Georgia and Florida and South Carolina. So be careful. There's this I hope I said slight risk, yeah, slight risk spots of Georgia into South Carolina and Florida. And then there's this bigger marginal risk in parts of southern Colorado into New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, as far north as Kentucky, and it extends throughout the Gulf Coast as well towards the southeast, the bigger marginal risk around it. So let's see, there's a 5% tornado threat in Texas now, and into easternmost New Mexico too, but especially in Texas. So be careful in those areas. A more elevated tornado threat shows a 2% spots of central Texas towards New Mexico. This 2% in Arkansas as well, into Tennessee and Kentucky, spots in Missouri, and northern Mississippi and Alabama. So be careful. 2% in the Florida Panhandle and southern Alabama too, and 2% in South Carolina and Georgia. So be careful in those areas. Some tornado threat. Wind threat is 30% hatched in Texas, so some very strong winds, like some hurricane force winds possible with those storms. So please stay safe, Central Texas, those areas this afternoon. So this is almost about to start. Please be careful. And there's a 15 and the 5%, also 15% the southeast. So stay safe there. Hail is still very big in Texas, like that small 30% western Texas, and hatched as well, and part of the 15% is also hatched into New Mexico too. So stay safe in those areas. Some very large hail, also some hail into the southeast and central portions. So large, very large hail, significant severe wind gusts. A couple of tornadoes will be concerned with thunderstorms this afternoon and evening from west, no, from Texas, New Mexico border eastward to central Texas. Thunderstorms producing scary damaging winds possible this afternoon, parts of the southeast. So be careful in those areas too. So now let's see here. There's the HER shows those storms. So let's see first in the southeast. So shows there are many showers storms in Alabama, into Florida, those areas. Some stronger ones might have that those severe gusts and low tornado threat. And then later in the evening, start showing these storms in Florida, so shows central Florida, especially further north in Florida, those stronger storms. South Carolina shows potential some severe storms, even some cells in North Carolina and coastal Georgia. So stay safe. And you see that moment like central to eastern Florida, those storms are forming there in the afternoon, so be careful. This goes later in Arkansas, those areas, there's a slight risk there, and into Kentucky and Tennessee during the night. So be careful. Tomorrow still shows scared storms in the Bahamas, spots of Florida too. So be careful. Shows like south now for Texas shows these storms first start small in New Mexico and western Texas and the foothills in Mexico. So they first start and they keep growing. So this is a rise in the late afternoon spots of western Texas, some stronger cells, and then by the evening does show some very strong cells in Texas, those whites there, spots central to northern Texas. So please stay safe. Those ones can produce those significant wind gusts plus those tornadoes. So stay safe in those areas and very large hail. Some storms in Mexico too. And then this goes shows central Texas. That line of storms might have those significant wind gusts. And this continues goes all the way to south central Texas. This already tomorrow morning still shows storms there. This might get heavy the northern province of Mexico by Friday afternoon. So be careful. Shows many storms Friday afternoon in Mexico. So stay safe there. There's like, let's see if there's something else. So here, Cape, let's see the whole region, shows central Texas this afternoon, close to 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram. Into New Mexico as well, but a little bit less. But does show to 2,000 joules per kilogram, 2,500 in eastern New Mexico, but especially central Texas, more than 3,000 joules per kilogram. So a lot of instability, but it starts diminishing later as soon as the storms come by. So be aware. But does show this afternoon Florida's a few spots, even to 4,000 if you look closely. Spots of Florida, to South Carolina too, some higher Cape. So stay safe in those areas. And here shows those stronger wind gusts. The HER speaking up some insane wind gusts in central Texas from those storms. It's hard to see, but you can see some like whites and blacks, like in those lines of storms. So that white is already to like that's in kilometer per hour gusts. But let's see if I can make it in miles per hour. So that's like 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts in some of those storms. So that can be very strong. Please stay safe in those areas. So the significant tornado parameter does show here like later this afternoon, especially. This is by 23Z. It doesn't show that much. Shows a finger or two in Texas, but let's see if later in the evening it does spike up. Shows like a finger or two in Arkansas, some very low parameters, but locally some higher ones in central Texas, but like very locally, like very small there. So later it does show by 3Z, still some higher parameter spots of Texas. So stay safe in those storms there today. They will be very sneaky. So be careful. There's day 2 for Friday. Does show this big slight risk spots of Georgia, into Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and also into Virginia. So be careful in those areas. There's this marginal risk in New Mexico and this marginal risk in Wisconsin and Illinois and spots there. And also this big marginal from Texas to all the way from Texas to Maryland. So be careful in those areas. There's 2% tornado threat from Georgia to Virginia. Tomorrow this might grow still, but for now it's 2%. So be careful in those areas. There's wind 15 and 5%, and 5% in all the marginals too. And there's hail 15% from Georgia to Virginia as well, some larger hail. So stay safe. Those areas scared severe storms capable of wind damage, large hail, and couple of tornadoes possible Friday afternoon and evening across mid-Atlantic, southeast states. So be careful tomorrow to have some ways to receive warnings and everything. Stay safe. And for day 3, Saturday does show a marginal risk in Texas, southern Texas into Mexico, and another in Virginia, Delaware, spots of North Carolina into Maryland, southern New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So be aware in those areas, 5%. Isolated severe storms possible with marginal severe wind gusts and hail on Saturday, parts of North Carolina, northward to the mid-Atlantic, and parts of the Rio Grande Valley. So be aware in those areas, and yeah, stay safe. But after that, we have a situation to talk about. So later next week, we'll potentially have a lot of Cape and some wind shear too, some instability. It should start coming into the plains and spots of the Midwest. So starting day 5, we have a 15% chance of severe weather from Nebraska to Minnesota, South and North Dakota as well. So this would already be like a slight risk for day 5, which is Tuesday, if I'm right. So the Monday for Tuesday, that's Monday. So we'll keep watching, but just be aware in those areas that this is coming for Monday, because Tuesday we have more further south in Oklahoma and Texas, not Texas, Oklahoma and Kansas into Nebraska. So be careful. Next Monday and Tuesday we potentially have some bigger severe weather events. Day 6, no, day 7, day 8, still nothing. So here the European model does show like those areas. So Saturday, Sunday shows Monday some capes surging as far north as North Dakota. So this is Monday morning, but Monday evening, like the European goes kind of insane to 4,600 joules per kilogram in South Dakota Monday evening, and Nebraska more than 4,000 joules. So if this comes true, we might have a big severe weather event if there's also like wind shear and no strong capping or anything. So we need to keep watching this closely. Tuesday still shows into Texas and Oklahoma later Tuesday evening, close to 3,000 joules per kilogram. So we'll keep watching for those areas, but stay safe there. Just be aware for next week. We have this huge marginal risk of excessive rainfall today. Goes all the way from New Mexico to Florida, as far north as Indiana, into the southeast. Day 2 a slight risk of excessive rainfall from Kentucky to Maryland, so still be careful, some flash flooding. Day 3, a marginal in the northeast. Day 4, nothing, and day 5, still nothing. So be aware in those areas. It's showing this corridor from Texas to Indiana, so some heavy rain in the plains and kind of in the Midwest, like 2 to 3 inches next 5 days. It might be even closer, like 3 inches, and I have a few spots. This is 7 days actually, not 5, and shows further north into the northern plains as well. So be aware. Florida still shows, but it has trended slightly downward since yesterday. But we'll keep watching too. So let's see if they have something here for the severe weather next week, the Colorado State University. So day 5 we have the 15%. They just have a like 5%, so they aren't very excited with this yet. But things might change. The SIPS has, but like in a different area, like 15% all the way down to Texas, and they have 15% just in the north. So Tuesday, the Colorado State University still has just 5%, and the SIPs around 15%. So they aren't very excited already still, but they might get. So we'll keep watching. So let's just see one more thing here. They might help us. So this is not it. I'm so sorry. So let's search again. LOL. So the show, all because I know what happened. I'm so sorry for this. Good. Here we are. So does show by week 2, like next week, around the plains, some possible supercells, and further north into the Midwest. But they still have week 3 into week 4. They don't have week 4 here, but week 3 some higher supercell composite into the northern plains and potentially to Canada too. And this is the end of week 2, like still next week shows some higher parameters across the central plains. So we'll keep watching those areas, but stay safe. And look who we have here now, Alvin, the first tropical storm of the year in the Eastern Pacific. So it got classified today as a tropical storm and yesterday as a tropical depression. So let's see where it's headed. They do have it staying a tropical storm until Saturday, potentially dissipating by Sunday near Baja California. So last time we talked, the GFS was taking this into a direct hit into Mexico, but now even the GFS trended like downward, that it would dissipate before getting there too. So we'll keep watching this, but just be aware this might cause some extra storms near the Baja Peninsula and western Mexico. So the tropical storm force winds probabilities don't even get to Mexico. There's the hurricane force winds, not really anything, and the 50 knot winds there in the ocean. But yeah, stay safe. This might change still. We might have some slightly rougher conditions near the coast, but for now, nothing crazy expected there in Mexico. So be aware in those areas. And here there's like next 7 days, still nothing else. But next 2 weeks, we might have. So we'll keep watching. And we'll keep watching because of this. So there's like the European ensembles, they do show like just as like four members in the Atlantic shows low pressure too, but like this is like zero point 0.0 support. So it probably won't become anything, but we have some probabilities to watch later, and as you're going to June across the Caribbean and the Gulf. So we'll keep watching, and but let's see the GFS. I think this is the GFS, I'm not sure. So let's put 264 hours. So the GFS long range is kind of getting sneaky, like it forms something in the Caribbean and escapes up towards Florida. So the GFS still sneaky, but this is like it's not that much support either. So we're still far out to determine. But the European itself just has a few tiny whispers near Central America. It's not even getting into the Gulf or anything. But we'll keep watching. There's the Eastern Pacific, and there's Alvin there that the models just take it towards Baja California, like barely alive there, so it will dissipate. But later, this giant blob of ensembles just south of Central America and Mexico. So potentially the models are picking up another system that's developing in the Eastern Pacific later. And most of them just go out to sea as well. But there's the GFS as well. It shows a big blob. So this is more support for something else to form in the Eastern Pacific. There's the tropical storm probabilities here. So this goes by June 3rd. They'll show near Central America, Mexico, some 20% probabilities the Pacific. These are tropical storm probabilities. This goes and does go to 30% by June 7th, the Eastern Pacific, and kind of lingers near Central America, but still too low probabilities to determine. But now tropical depression probabilities, let's see, like by June 1st, it already shows some 30% tropical depression probabilities. By June 2nd, lowers down. June 3rd, still there. And does show by June 5th, so like 40%, 40 to 50 tropical cyclone probabilities the Eastern Pacific. Does grow by June 6th. The European even gets to like 70%. That's like 60 something, 60% tropical depression probabilities the Eastern Pacific. So we might need to watch by next week. So and later does grow even more there in the Eastern Pacific, kind of expands into the Atlantic, but still like that's just 20% tropical depression probabilities in the Atlantic, not anything to be concerned about. So we'll keep watching, but be aware in those areas. So the GFS takes tropical storm Alvin near Mexico there, but it's already dissipating. So this goes and dissipates very rapidly. But this goes, it does form another one, the Eastern Pacific, and tries to take into Mexico by June 7th. At the same time, forms a tropical storm in Cuba, goes into Florida, North Carolina, and the GFS just dreaming and levitating, because I doubt that anything of this will happen. So just take that as a grain of salt, but we'll keep watching. And there's the zero C European that shows a potential other storm like later by June 10th in the Eastern Pacific, the European, but barely anything in the Atlantic, just some moisture from weak tropical waves, but doesn't have anything forming. There's the Canadian has like not even the Eastern Pacific it has. So we'll keep watching, but for now the GFS is the only wild card in the Atlantic. So be aware, there's some isolated dry thunderstorms still possible, spots of New Mexico and Arizona by Friday tomorrow. So still be aware, a finger or two there. And we discussed yesterday, I think, the temperature outlook for most of North America. Today you don't have much time, but just be careful that semi heat waves central Canada, but they will get milder later and still cold for much of Alaska in the 20s and like teens, single digits Fahrenheit there. And this goes, and there's this crazy heat wave in California still that we'll talk about right now. But there's still cold northeastern Canada and western Canada in the mountains, so still be aware of that as well. So Let's see those heat warnings. We have some extreme heat warnings in southern Nevada and California there already, and heat advisories goes all the way into Montana, the heat advisories. So please be careful. Click on heat warnings and they talk about dangerous heat. So there's some good tips here like foods, hydrate. I highly recommend you check this extreme heat, especially in valleys location. Death Valley could get to 120 degrees literally in Death Valley by Saturday. So be careful. There's like the heat advisories in Oregon, some areas further north, especially in Central California, like major heat risk, safety tips. So stay safe in those areas. And still here shows like this already Thursday today, so shows some already in the low hundreds, some 90s there. Shows like during the night slightly colder, the highest peaks of the Rockies, the Northern Cascades, but still like Friday afternoon like to 106 in California, 104, 103. So please be careful. Those areas does show like 104. Those are dark colors in the valley, maybe to 115, 120. So stay safe. During the night, still hot in some areas, so be careful the heat risk lasting during the night. But Saturday does show multiple like 105, 206 potential in the valleys, and the heat indices will be even higher 100 in Nevada, 99 in Montana and Oregon. So stay safe in those areas across Utah, some spots warmer there too, and close to more than 100 in Arizona. So stay safe in those areas. And the whole view here, still some A is in the plains, Midwest, 90s in Florida, in a few spots, some 90s in Montana and Idaho, so that's Idaho there, so close to 100, so please stay safe. Still shows Sunday morning, slightly milder, kind of chill in the northeast or in the Cascades, the Rockies, but still Sunday afternoon gets better, but still to 99, 94 in some areas. So still be careful, might be even to 100 still in that valley by Sunday, but later it gets better next week. So Friday, the major heat risk in California, in those areas, spots of Arizona, Nevada still major by Saturday in those areas, so stay safe. Sunday gets better, still some moderate in some areas. Monday major southern Texas potential. That show that next Tuesday major again, even to extreme in southern Texas. By next Wednesday showing potential extreme again in Texas. So we'll keep watching, but stay safe in those areas. And just to check if there aren't any wild windstorms or anything, but still shows like uh, northern Nunavut in Canada, the coast of British Columbia slightly gustier Friday, and then those storms come off the east coast, some high winds in the Appalachians Saturday, and North Shore as well. So be aware. Potentially in the coast of Oregon, California, some higher gusts the next Sunday and Monday. So be aware. And of course, Tuesday, Wednesday, the next severe weather system likely have some higher gusts too, and into Canada later. So we'll keep watching, but be aware those areas rain accumulation Mexico, Central America still shows like those storms in Mexico, so still be careful. Northern Mexico, southern Mexico, some higher values, still some areas in Costa Rica near the mountains in Panama, so still be careful. Some landslides, some heavier rainfall in those areas. In the Bahamas, potentially some more storms near Trinidad and Tobago, some showers in the Caribbean, and Jamaica, a few showers through the Cayman Islands. So be aware in those areas. GFS a similar thing, but a little bit more in El Salvador and northwestern Nicaragua. On the GFS, the icon has a few spots in El Salvador and Mexico to more than 100 millimeters, and the icon has more specific spots, some heavy rain in Mexico. So stay safe. The icon is kind of harsh in the Bahamas as well. It does have to more than 100. The GFS just 26, but yeah, stay safe in those areas. There's like the HER shows those storms in Texas, into Mexico. The HER has even to 100 millimeters next day or so in Mexico, those storms. So stay safe across Florida, those storms to like 3 to 4 inches. And the hurricane has across Maryland even to 3 inches a few spots too, or even more. So stay safe.